Right, good morning. Welcome to another one of these. Bit of a daily briefing vibe on this one for you. So let's kick off with Kota Takai, who has just, I don't think I'm going to get bored of saying his name. I can't work out why, but it's just a strange feeling. But Kota Takai has come from the J League, J1 League in Japan, where incidentally he was J1's player of the season. Now, how we view this signing, I think really, look, the word of warning is that Clinton Ng, has just been thrown out of the Romanian league, had his contract ripped up. And this was a player that cost buttons and didn't quite make it, despite the fan base getting very, very, very excited. So let's just use that as a little bit of historical context in the view of this. There was a video doing the rounds. I put that up on the Substack this morning with a guy called Alan Gibson, who was, look, I don't know. I'm not a J1 J League expert. But Alan was getting a little bit animated, and apparently this guy, Kota Takai, played against Cristiano Ronaldo, and Gibson was telling us that he had him in his pocket and didn't realise he was playing for a lot of the game. That sounds tremendous. How old is CR7? 50? I don't know. But we're not really comparing apples with apples here. I think we're comparing apples with bananas. And like I say, the Japanese league, we need to treat everybody with a fair smudge of respect. But the £5 million price tag must tell its own story. He's only young. I get that. But I always get a little bit nervous when people start really troweling it on. What can we tell you about? He's a left back. So that would be a apprentice to Odoi. And the general feeling is that he's a bit of a unit. 6'3" for a Japanese guy, which is good. One line that Alan Gibson said, he had a little bit of malice in him, which if he leaves his shoe in, that's good, but he needs to keep his head under control in the Premier League, or he'll be racking up more cards than he may care to. I mean, it's a fascinating proposition, but I think there's a fair whack of commercial manipulation going on there. And as I say, he was the J1 League player of the season, so he comes on the crest of a wave, if you like. There's a very upbeat vibe around him. But, you know, is he going to adapt to the Premier League, which, as I keep saying to everybody, it's not like Sky Sports say, it's not the best league in the world. But it's certainly one of the most challenging. Somebody who didn't do particularly well in this division, this holier-than-thou division, was Carl Walker-Peters, and he's a name that's being linked with this again and again and again. And I have to say, I get a sense that that's because there isn't much going on outside of his name and, you know, one or two others. And for me, I'm just sitting here waiting for Eze to sign, because that's the only name that's come into the round in the last few weeks. Certainly since we hired Frank, that fills me with any sense of excitement, genuine excitement. 28 years of age now. He's a right back, so that would put him on to the same sort of neighbourhood as a Ben Davis behind Porro, if that makes any sense for you. I'm not really sure what the deal is there. I mean, there's a little bit of data. He won 11 duels and 5 tackles against us this season, and of course they were the only side that went down that beat us. That beat us rather. So it's difficult to say. I mean, is it worth coming back? I'd rather just look elsewhere. There was one line that did concern me. And some guy was saying that this is a guy, Mick Brown, a former Premier League scout, don't know who with, my apologies, told Football Insider Thomas Frank will have made an assessment of his current options as a fullback and feels that Walker-Peters would be an upgrade on what he's got. I'm not so sure who he's talking about there. 28 years of age. We'll be speaking to his agent about his demands are in terms of playing time and wages. I'm not really sure he's in much of a position to demand very much. And I think it's one of those things whereby, and I've accused Spurs fans of this in the past, where you don't see somebody play for a while because they're injured or they used to play for us or whatever, and you kind of romanticize where they are in the food chain. And I'm not particularly convinced. I don't think he's a dreadful player, but I think he's a pretty mediocre player. Truth becomes, evident. So another one listed with us, and I think we'll probably make this the last one because I keep this short and sweet. But another name listed is Mohamed Cudus. I think I still prefer Kota Takai. But Mohamed Cudus, West Ham, Ghanaian player, 24-year-old with an £80 million release clause. Bless him. West Ham willing to accept a deal in the region of 60. Well, I tell you why. He's not actually all that. He's not that at all. He's linked with a load of players. But the moral of the story here is that he's swapped agents, and there's going to be a lot of upbeat press surrounding him, which perhaps he doesn't really deserve. Last term for West Ham, 5 goals, 4 assists. Talk of Frank unlocking his true potential. I'm not really sure I buy into it, to be honest with you. Scottman on gardening leave. Lang basking in the fact that he's managed to secure this £5 million Japanese lad. I think Tottenham have a lot to do. My enthusiasm for the coming season, which was pretty close to zero, is based upon now that we don't have Postecoglou wandering around interfering in things, or rather making the point that he's not interfering in things and telling us how long he's been in the game. And that we have Frank, who is actually capable of coaching. And I think the true excitement about the window, and this is going to sound a little bit Levy-esque, but I think the true excitement about the window is what Frank might be able to do using his tactics and his managerial experience to improve players we already have on our books. And we've got far too many players who aren't quite the Jack the Biscuit that we want them to be, aren't quite that sort of magic sort of vibes coming off of them. And so I hate to say it, but I say it with some degree of confidence because of what he's done at Brentford. And he has achieved, in inverted commas, no silverware, but what he has achieved is he's brought great stability to a club in a very volatile, tough division with very sparse resources. So if he can add that to the what we already have at Tottenham, which the last season, finishing 17th, totally unacceptable. So just need to shake up these little primroses we have in the squad and get them organised. And I think that get them organised is going to be playing a very big part in what Tottenham might be able to do in as I say, in the coming season. Looking forward to the PSG game. That'll tell us much. But that's it for now, just about. I mean, there's a lot of recycling and regurgitating going on the transfer rumour side of things. But I'll leave a link actually also. So I'll leave a link to that Henry Whiting blog on the Japanese kid. And I'll also leave a link to a piece we did on theboyhotspur.com this morning. There's a really nice retro vibe to, I think it's the third shirt and the training top, that kind of what goes with it. These are projections based upon a Barcelona kit, because all the Nike stuff's done off of templates. It's not a committee at Spurs pointing at things and holding swatches of fabric. So we know kind of where it's heading, but it's going to include that logo that was on the centenary kit, if you remember, with the like the self-stripe in the sort of Man City blue and the white and the yellow, which was a particularly funky. I think Nike called it a dynamic yellow. But I've said too much. But have a look at the link on that, because I think they're going to sell out. I think they're going to fly off the shelves. Anyway, that's it for now. Good luck. Keep it Tottenham.